If anyone tells you that the ego must die, run. Run hard and run fast. I'm only joking, but it's a myth. It's a misunderstanding. If you think that ego is the cause of your suffering, you're missing the point. The ego is not the cause of your suffering. I'm going to tell you what the cause of the suffering is in a minute. But first, what I'm going to say is when you overblow the importance of the ego, then you make the whole journey about something that it doesn't need to be about, i.e. ego annihilation, ego death. There's no such thing. There's no such thing in the way it's described, as if this ego is this real pumped up, problematic thing, and then you somehow kill your ego, and then you become this beautiful, benevolent, kind, happy person. That is completely fictitious. And that's why there's so many people that you will come across who will take on an affected persona of someone with not an ego. And it's almost laughable when you know what the ego is. So the actual ego, all the ego is, it's the sense of I am, right? It is the sense of I am. I am the ego, right? I am Joe. I am going to go to the park. Oh, I'm feeling hot. Oh, I'm feeling cold. Oh, I'm tall. Oh, I like cycling. Oh, I like eating. Oh, right? That is the ego. The ego is a sense of I amness that emerges out of formless consciousness in relationship to empty perceptions so that the imagined self can navigate this imagined world. It has a function. It has a function. How else would the unreal manifest within, how would the unreal manifest and interact? Right? So if I'm conscious awareness, the knower of all experience, and I'm also the author of all perceptions, how do I interact if there is no individual sense of self that interacts with it? What would be the point? So the ego is a tool that facilitates the interaction between experiences. It's not a problem. The problem is identification with the ego, right? Taking it too seriously and wanting to kill the ego or wanting an ego death is the same. It's the same as validating the ego, because you're making it into something important other than its primary practical function. So the way to work with the ego, to liberate from the ego and not identify, is to do this. Are you aware of this sound? Are you aware of the sense of I am? I can hear this sound. Close your eyes. Right, listen to the sound. Now look at the sense of I can hear the sound. Do they occur in the same field? The ocean of consciousness. Open your eyes. So you experience the sound and you experience the sense of I am in the same field of consciousness, because the sense of I am is a perception equal to any other. The ego is a perception equal to any other. I know the sound, I know the sense of I am. So who knows that? Who is the one who knows that? That is who you are. And when you are rooted in that as your nature, then the ego is no longer a problem, because you are not identified with it. The ego is filled with all of your causes and conditions. Everything that's led up to the ego being that way, to navigate the world that it knows. And would take a lifetime to unseat all of its activities and conclusions, because it's been going on for decades. So when you just recognize that you are the knower of the ego and all appearances, so the ego is experiencing a craving for a cookie. The ego is experiencing a craving for the cookie, and you're sitting there going, that's fascinating. But you're not compelled, or the ego loses something that it wanted, a relationship. It loses a relationship, and there's the person over there that it had the relationship with. 3 appearances, resting effortlessly, completely benevolent in the ocean of consciousness, being just as they are. You, the knower, unaffected by the coming and going of the ego, by the coming and going of the desire or the regret, and the coming and going of the partner. This is where your liberation lives. There's no death of the ego required. Nothing needs to be changed for you to be awake. It breaks the rules of awakening if you want something to go. It's everything is welcome eternally, just as it is, with nothing needing to be done. Ego on, ego off. Craving on, craving off. Pain on, pain off. And here's the thing, none of it is stable anywhere. It's all transient. How many times a day do you think, I'm a me doing a thing? It's pretty rare, you know? It's pretty rare. It might be someone calls your name, or you see something that you like. And the object, this is what's really interesting, the object brings the ego sense of I am, the subject, into appearance simultaneously. No object, no subject. They are co-conspirators in this theatre of mind, right? Together. And you watch them arise, abide, subside. Arise, abide, subside. And you don't even notice it coming and going. Because when it's not there, you don't notice it's not there. It happens when you look at a sunset. Really get into something you're doing, create, watch a movie, read a book, right? Hug someone, look in the baby's eyes, watch a sunset, ego, bye-bye, right? And then when you've got to leave the sunset to find your car, ego comes back, hey, I'm going to find my car. Practical, non-attachment. Without the ego, you'll be sitting at the sunset for the rest of your life. Nothing wrong with that, but that's what you'd be doing. Going like this. So the ego's like, chip, let's go. Time to go, got to get to work tomorrow. Right? But the ego has the capacity to suffer. So we compassionately support the ego by leaving it as it is. Letting it come and go without effort. We certainly don't want to annihilate it. Why? What would that achieve? Nothing. So leave it as it is, recognize that there's no attachment between you and the ego, that the ego is appearing equal to any other appearance within the vast space of consciousness. It just has a very special capacity because it acts like a bucket. The ego acts like a bucket for all the containers. So when you look at it, you see the ego and everything inside it. Me, my car, my friends, my relationships, my body, my money, my life, my dreams. But that's not how it really is. They're all just sporadic appearances in the ocean of mind, like clouds in a sky. The ego isn't like one mega cloud that holds all the other clouds. It's just a convenient I thought that's equal to every other cloud. And it serves a unique purpose, granted, but it's not the cause of suffering. The cause of suffering is when it's confusion. When you think you are that cloud, when you think you are the ego, carrying around this big bucket of stuff that just gets exhausting. That is the problem. And that itself, that confusion, is just another thought appearing in the ocean of consciousness. So there's ego, there's stuff, and there's the thought that I'm the ego with all the stuff. It's still just in the display. It's still just floating effortlessly in display with nothing need to be done. Nothing needs to be done. Let's just leave the ego exactly as it is. It's not the problem. I'll see you in the next video.